to Mind Reader by Lost Hairdressers. My name is Clint Matoni, and I hope you enjoy the conversation. Mind Reader.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi, Clint.
Hi, long
How's it
time no
going?
see.
Mm-hmm.
For the audience, this is Jennifer Loura. She's a celebrity hairdresser based in Los Angeles, and she and I go, I'd say, pretty far back now, like
Yeah.
maybe looking at a decade or so.
A
Yeah,
little, yeah, yeah, just
yeah,
about. Damn.
about there. Yeah, awesome.
Here we
Well,
are.
yeah, here we are.
Yeah.
Just so yeah, I just to get started, I thought, I just wanted to kind of hear your story, kind of where you grew up, how you got into this hair scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I grew up in Boston, Boston, Mass. Shout out.
Hmm.
Was there pretty much, I mean, until my mid 20s. I was working in Boston until like my late 20s, and that's when I mean, there's a lot before that, but
Uh-huh.
that's when I knew I wanted to come to California. But yes, I grew up in Boston, but couldn't wait to come to the big city. So
Gotcha. But hairdressing was not your first career, right?
it wasn't. I was always in art school, like name an art class. My mom put me in it, and so I was always illustrating, drawing. Painting was really my thing. I didn't really care for painting. It was more like illustration and whatever. But funny enough, when I was like a little younger, when I would just doodle on my own, I would always like draw houses.
Oh,
Like I'd get my
interesting.
ruler out. Yeah, this is something I don't think I mentioned before, but I was like, yeah, I would like draw and like build a house like with pencil and like landscape it. And yeah, so weird. I kind of
Oh,
forgot that
okay.
last time.
So
Yeah.
like there's like some geometry going on in
Oh, for
there.
sure.
Like,
Yeah, I
yeah,
was like
that's
that
cool.
was like my favorite in school, like trig and geometry. I was like, sign me up. So
That's
yeah, I was
not
always in
super
art
common
school.
for creatives to like
Yeah, I know.
lean towards mathematics. Yeah.
Right. I know.
Yeah.
It's kind
Look
of
at you.
look at me just angling everywhere. Um, with my protractor or whatever that tool was
Uh,
that, you know.
uh, yeah.
Um, yeah, I had one. It was purple. But anyway, um, yeah, so always in an art class. My older sister too was kind of talented in that way too, but she drew more like caricature, like cartoon type stuff. So it was kind of in the
Mhm.
fam. But yeah, and then went to high school for I guess there was like a vocational, so they would do like commercial art, graphic design. So I was in it really throughout, and went to college for it. Uh,
Did you like were you into like graphic design as far as like were you following artists? Were there people that you wanted to emulate? Were you into it
a
in that
bit.
regard? Or
Yeah,
yeah.
it was funny because my high school art teacher, I super looked up to him too. I think he's now passed, but yeah, I mean, in the moment, I can't really like, I can't think of any names, but heavily into like, I was very aware and detailed on like composition of.
Hmm.
At the time, it was like magazine layout. Like we would be, one of the projects is to like basically make a spread, like in a
Hmm.
magazine. So that stuff, I loved the detail of that and the balance and you know.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, but I knew like if I was going to keep doing this, I would have wanted to be part of like a graphic design firm
Hmm.
and not really just kind of it's sort of like the thing with I guess with any profession, like getting good with something and like learn the best or whatever.
Right.
Um, but yeah, and then went to college for it. I told my mom that I wanted to go to hair school while I was
Okay.
still in high school, and she was like, "You're not gonna go to hair school. You can't make a living with doing hair." And I was
Yeah.
like, "Okay." And like mom knows best. So I was like, I just kind of tucked it away. I was like, "Yeah, maybe she's right. Like art's
Hmm.
what I'm good at. Just keep doing it."
Hmm.
Um, yeah. And then till I was working in the field still after college, and I was like, I'm supposed to be doing hair. I don't know why, but I've always loved doing it. I I remember doing it in high school, like to my friends, like when we go to prom,
Hmm.
dances. I just remember really like loving doing it when I was doing it. It was just
Yeah,
kind of like time just passed. It's like dancing or whatever. It's like time just passes and you're like, that was really fun. Like I always want to do that. So
cool. So that like obviously didn't go away
it
with
didn't. No,
time.
no.
Was there something about like the design world that you became kind of disenchanted with that kind of gave room for, the hair
It's
thing to
yeah,
come through?
that's actually a really good word to use because that's kind of how I felt. I guess there was something, I don't want to say like the social aspect of it was lacking, but
Mhm.
because when you're a part of a firm or like an agency, like you're kind of with everybody and like brains kind of thinking together.
Right.
But I think I think the social aspect of like being with your client and like the relationship of it, that I wouldn't get with being, with
Yeah.
a firm or an agency or anything. Um, but I think it was I was aware it was something that I was really good at and I liked to do it too, like drawing and graphic design and all that stuff. But I didn't see it kind of progressing. I think because I just didn't want to. I think the whole like hair calling was calling me more, and I was like, really? And I was like, okay, cool. I just remember being like, okay, I surrender. Like, let's do this.
Yeah. And
Yep.
so were you kind of in some way keeping up with the hair world? Or was it just kind of like, I know I got to do
That's
this.
another good
Like,
one.
this is going to happen. Yeah.
I think I know, like that's another good one. I had a couple like older friends that two were hairdressers and I'm like and I would go to them to get my haircut too. I wasn't always a hairdresser. I was always also a client. Um, and I just remember like just sitting there like getting my hair done and like just the whole experience of I'm like this is really rad and it just felt like really natural for me to be in that environment when I was
Hmm.
in there being a client.
Hmm.
Um, and watching people, style hair, cut hair, and I'm like, that's really fascinating. Like because like as we're stylists, when we have like a half hour to kind of just sit down, like I watch people do hair, and it's so soothing, and it's just like you see the whole process happen and right in front of you. It's like this instant like gratification kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was like just wrote like people that were older than me and then just being like in love with it kind of. I was like, oh, okay, I think I could do this.
Yeah. And were you like picking your stylist brain at the time?
A little bit like being like, so like where did you go to school and like did you like it? What was it all about? And stuff like that. But it was more like it's so superficial, but I was like, they were very social. They had like a really fun network. They drove like a cool car. Like
Hmm.
those like superficial things were kind of
Uh-huh.
like to me. But they were all like such good people as well. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like it was like something I was kind of supposed to do already, and
Cool.
I was just
Yeah.
getting a taste of it as I was growing.
Um, and so when did you finally make the jump?
Gosh, it was like I was still working at this graphic design job I was doing, and then I told my boss because it had been like, it was like stewing for a bit, like, should I do
Hmm.
hair? Should I not? Because I
And
didn't
are
even,
you already like making money and like
yeah,
doing your thing?
totally
Okay.
fine.
So
Just
it was a
making
jump.
money and like yeah, and like this is if I stay with this, like I'm fine, like I'm set.
Hmm.
And I remember telling my boss, I'm like, hey, so funny thing, I'm gonna go to school for hair. And he's like, what? Like, and I had been a little afraid of him too, because he was a really aggressive, like mean type. Um, but his face started to turn red and I'm like, here we go. Oh boy. And then he said, you know what? That's amazing because I wish my daughters would have gone into hair because they would make a shitload of money.
The total
So
opposite of what your mom said.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. And by the way, my number one client is my mom. So every time I go back home, she's like, you
Right?
know, like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, there's a line out the door. Um, yeah, so I was like, I don't know. I just feel like like I need to do it and I'm gonna do it. And he's like, okay, cool. So I would go to hair school during the day and then go to my graphic design job at night. during the
Nice.
week. Yeah.
Okay. Was hair school like, did it feel like just a necessary evil, or was it like pivotal for you?
Um, it was, I think, it was 2002 when I started. I went to Paul Mitchell
Hmm.
Academy out in Rhode Island. Shout out. Um, it
They're
it
all listening for
was
sure.
shout out. It was, I think it's, and I know what you mean about necessary evil. It's like, of course, you have to go through the motions and do the perms and stuff like that. I
Hmm.
think I actually, I say it now, like so many years later, I don't think I actually did a perm, but they checked it off anyway. But whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but it was just, I just remember it being like, oh, like this is what we're gonna learn, and these are the cuts. But it's like knowing what you want to see. Like
Hmm.
my mind is like I see the end, and
Yeah.
I make my way to that end. It's
Yeah.
kind of weird to explain, but it's like I already see like the end picture, and it's like, what am I doing to get to that? But it was just all visual.
Yeah.
Um, but it
Did you have
felt
that before you studied design, do you think?
probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Look at
it's
you.
yeah, like the whole
Cool.
shape and form and silhouette and
Yeah.
again the word composition. Like it was always like it was kind of like already like not innate, but I was attracted to that sort of approach, like that
Yeah.
style of kind of whether it was hair or an object or like a magazine spread or like a print ad, you know.
Got it.
Um, but yeah, but I loved it. I thought it was there was a lot of structure in that particular academy. The teachers were great. Um, but the learning of it was like was really awesome because I'm like I never knew that, like what is that, you know.
Yeah.
And then when you
Yeah.
like get your hands working you're like, oh, I think I could do this, this is really cool,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah. So when I think of like the way you do hair, I think of like very beautiful,
Hmm.
like beautiful blowouts, like very kind of like somewhere between glamorous and lived in, which I feel
Yeah,
like is kind of you. Like this is
yeah,
like kind of like your
yeah.
your thing. So was that already something you felt like you were into, or did you like develop into that?
I think it was I can say it was probably a little of both because while in Boston I was heavily into color and cutting.
Okay.
Um, and I loved doing color because in hair school I didn't even like touch it. I was like, that's too like formulaic and weird and whatever.
Hmm.
I just wanted to get in there and start cutting and blowing out and like seeing shapes like kind of come to life. Um, but I really like I never liked hair looking so produced and fixed. And I wonder if that comes from just like the way like even hairstylists start with their own life. Like I don't know. Like I wonder if that like transcends a little bit into their like their approach to life. But yeah, I
Probably.
never liked things looking so like, hi, it's done, you know.
Right.
Um yeah, but I love that. That's a great way to put it. It's like it's glamorous, but it's like it's touchable. It's like lived in, you know. I think
Yep.
I because I think I like that for myself and most women and even like my men clients like nothing should look that like cookie cutter and
Right.
like it should look tailored to them, you know.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, cool. Um, so we jumped to the future a little bit. Let's get back to let's
That's
get
for it.
back to
Okay.
um, so you started doing hair. How long were you doing hair in Boston or Rhode Island
It was
before
as
you
soon as I
went to
graduated. Yeah. As soon as
okay.
I graduated hair school in Rhode Island, I just went right to Boston because I'm
You
like,
went right to Boston.
yeah. Yep.
Okay.
I
So
didn't
that's a
even
better scene.
yeah, because Rhode Island, I mean, I guess the biggest city would have been Providence, but it still felt a little too small town for me.
Yeah.
I'm like, it was either New York or Boston at the time, so I was like, I'm not going to make that giant leap. So I was in Boston. Worked on Newbury Street. I knew I wanted to work for like a really good salon, good people.
Hmm.
And at the time, it was a salon called Yumi,
Hmm.
and it was a husband and wife team, and they were just like completely like blew my mind how the two of them were just wizards, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I want to like when you're that young and like you're kind of getting into the groove, you're like, I want to be like them, like
Yeah.
I would love to have their clientele, like however it's like as much as you even want to like learn their style and stuff, you'll still always have your own. Do you know what I
Sure.
mean? So it's like
Yeah.
that I thought that was kind of fun to um whatever, like to like see as the years went, you know, like from where I started to where I am now and stuff. But yeah, so I knew like if I'm going to stay in Boston, it's going to be Newbury Street. So I was there maybe maybe like 6 or 7 years, and that was the salon I was at before I moved to LA
Okay.
in 2010, 2009.
Did you consider New York before choosing LA? Like,
I
I
did.
mean, because I mean, knowing you seem like very focused and very confident in what you
Mm-hmm.
do, you know, and that's kind of what you need, especially you go to a place like New York
I
to kind of
know.
break into the scene. Was that on your mind to do?
It was, and what helped a lot was Jeffrey and Leslie were the owners of that salon that I was at. They had launched a product line. I think it was 2008 at Fashion Week in New York Fashion Week in 2008. So they were like, "We're going to launch it. We're going to work." I kind of forgot who we worked with, but they were like, I think we did 5 shows the whole weekend. Um,
Okay.
totally just drove there ourselves. Like, "Hey, we're going to launch this new line," and um, I I mean, I thought it was great. I was just like amazing to work. I mean, you've seen what it looks like backstage at all these shows. It's just like chaos. It's chaos and excitement and it's amazing. Um, it wasn't super on my radar, like not like I can't wait to get to New York and do all that stuff, but I was back and forth towards like the end of being in Boston. I was going like every other weekend to work, just kind of like doing house calls and stuff like that. So that was about a year and a half, but I was like, I don't want to be in New York. I don't want to be in New York. I was like, I think I know where I need to go.
Was it more like the weather or the work or both?
Oh, there you are.
Yeah. Decided to pause.
Did I? I
Yeah.
feel like I'm like rambling, but like you're answering. I mean, you're asking, and I'm like, great question, Clint. I'm kidding.
No, keep going. Keep
Yeah.
going. And sometimes it'll pause on your end.
Okay.
Like I'll be frozen, but if you can still hear me talking, it's
Okay.
good.
Okay.
Yeah, because yeah, so it's fine.
Yeah, it'll do that.
Um, but I was gonna say, as a motivator, was it the work or the weather in New York that pushed you to the
To
West
move.
Coast?
Oh
Yeah,
gosh, it was. I think it was both. I mean, it was.
yeah,
But like I would say, the weather being top because I'm like, if I'm gonna live anywhere and like make a life somewhere, like I want to be able to be in love with it with
mhm.
the area, like the whatever it is. And I've always loved, being in the sunshine and like being near water, palm trees, all
Yeah,
that like glitter or whatever. But and I also knew that Los Angeles was the other Mecca,
right.
as opposed to New York City. I can always go to New York to work. I can always travel and go there, but to think of a life of like living there, it wasn't turning me on at all. I was like, no. And it snows there,
Right.
so you know how I feel about snow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Cool.
was happy to come. I was happy to come here.
So did you come with a job already, or did you come here and find a job, or what was your kind of path into
Yep.
LA?
I had a little bit of a cushion. I had a network of friends that were sort of in the industry, like photographers, directors, photographer agents and stuff, which is a
Mhm.
really good. I know it didn't happen to like everybody like that, but I'm just like I was grateful, and most of them are from the East Coast, just like I came from. So they kind of were showing me the ropes a bit, and knowing
Mhm.
that once I got here, I already had in my head like I definitely want to work on set, like because that's something that was not uh, able to happen in Boston. It's just the
Right.
world is just like not there. Maybe it is now, but yeah. And a really good friend of mine, he was a photographer. He gave me a number for a hairstylist. His name was Stephen Lake. I'm not sure if he's with us anymore, but he was
Like
such
on the Earth?
like on the earth. I
Okay.
think he passed a few years after when like I was kind of like branched off and just started being on my own. And
Got
um,
it.
but he was such an amazing stylist, and he was
Yeah.
like, if there's ever a client that I can't make happen, like I have to be somewhere else, like I would love you to work with me and I could send you. Like it was one of those relationships. But so grateful for my friend Brian to have given me that contact, because I mean I met so many makeup artists and other hairstylists, and the whole like set team, like you've been on
Right.
set.
Right.
Um, and working more like that and word of mouth, and it's just kind of like compounded, and that's just kind of
Yeah.
how you know.
Was
So
that like the extent of your assisting?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Good for
once
you.
I got to
Good.
LA,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, because
Yeah.
it was
Once you
like,
got to LA.
yeah. And when I arrived here, I did not have I came with like, I saved up money and I'm like, I'm just gonna see what's available when I get there, you know?
Hmm.
But within a month, I got a job at Privé. I don't think it's
Okay.
there
Nice.
anymore.
Uh-huh.
Privé on Beverly Boulevard, yeah.
Hmm.
Laurence was the owner. I think he just has the New York one, the one in Soho.
Got
Um,
it.
I loved the experience there. The team was like, yeah, top. And I met a few of my like the celebrity clientele actually through most of that salon, because whenever
Okay.
he wasn't available, Laurent would just say, go see Jen. And which I
Wow.
thought was like really cool. I was like, you're trusting me with your clients. That's amazing. And I
Yeah.
was like, I'll do a good job, I swear. Um, and yeah, so it's because I knew I wanted to have some salon presence as
Hmm.
well.
What's
Because
Laurent's last name?
I don't know. I'll
Okay,
have to,
cool. I
because I
mean,
know
who
he's
needs a
French.
last name when you have a name like Laurent anyway?
Yeah,
So yeah, it's fine.
Laurent.
I'll figure it
Yeah,
out. Laurent.
Laurent.
Um, what did you? So obviously you picked up his clients. What did you pick up from Laurent, like skill wise? Like what was Privé for you as far as like adding to your skill set, or
It's
did you already have it? It's fine if you
no,
did.
no, because it's like it's sort of like he's French, and like his
Hmm.
wife is French, and yeah, there were a couple artists there that were French, and I'm like they're very classic in their hairstyling.
Yeah,
They're like the French Do you know like the term French lacing?
I
Or
know
the
the term, but no.
Yeah,
What is it?
it's a very soft approach to like teasing, basically.
Okay.
It's how it's like. I mean, if I could show you a picture of any like 60s or 70s French actress, and you're like, oh, well, there you go. Um, they they took a lot of like care in the. I mean, not like anybody was wearing hairstyles like actresses in the 1960s leaving there,
Right.
but they really. I don't like, and it's funny, they even just took their time. They like did not care. Like you were on their clock. You know what I mean? And I was like,
Right.
I kind of
Yeah.
dug that. It wasn't
Hmm.
it wasn't like a hair factory at all. It was like, um yeah, but like I would see them doing like sets, but with the curling iron. The like, you just set it with pen clips and then just
Uh-huh.
like send them off to the back patio or something, have a coffee, and then
Sets with an iron or with the brush, with a round brush?
no, a curling iron.
Oh, with the iron. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they pen
Yeah.
it like, yeah. Um and I'd be like, "Oh my God, her hair looks." I don't know. They had like a certain touch. Like I really dig the whole French. I like the French and English approach, but
Yeah.
the French kind of
No,
like
I mean
tickles my
the
fancy. Yeah,
French, like French styling, I think is kind of unparalleled. I mean, it's really unbelievable.
yeah,
Even just French like round brush technique, like it's really another level. I worked at a French salon in Dallas for a hot second, and I got schooled. I mean, it was kind of right out of Tony and Guy for me, and it
yeah,
was like, oh, you guys blow dry. Like, I thought you could just
yeah.
power dry
Guys,
and flat iron.
yeah.
Yeah.
While I was in Boston working at Yumi, Jeffrey, the owner, was like, "I'm going to send you to Bumble." So to work for, I mean, not work for Bumble, but so I was a network educator for like 3 years, four
Oh
years.
wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I thought that experience was beyond amazing. Like there
Why?
was this,
What did you love about it?
oh my God, it was like, aside from like getting sort of trained to teach,
Hmm.
basically,
Hmm.
they had to teach you all their stuff, like how to blow it or like their way. And I was
Right.
just so like, this is great. I love, because I mean, we all know like the Bumble approach and like their hair cutting ways, and I dug it, and I really liked their styling classes because they were again
Yeah.
like super classic. Um, there was a stylist there, Sabrina. I'll have to get her last name. I
Uh-huh.
still follow her, and I just like clung to her. She was French, obviously.
Yeah.
Um, but her like even watching her do like a low chignon, just completely slick, like not one hair was out of place. She barely
Hmm.
used product. And it was
Nice.
just like staring. And this woman just did that. And just, like just watching a stylist that you like super admire and you're like, oh my gosh. It's like art. It's like watching art happen. She was like the homie for sure that
Yeah.
like kind of got me through because it was a bit. I would go back and forth and then each time was like 2 or 3 weeks. Um, so
Were you
I
learning their cutting technique as well?
yeah,
Or
they were
yeah,
doing that.
cool.
Yeah. Um,
Nice.
but I was so grateful to have that experience as well because I'm like, I was in New
Hmm.
York. I got my New York, fix and
Yeah.
with Bumble and I really liked their philosophy and the guy Michael.
Hmm.
I actually have the Hair Heroes book still
Yeah.
from that
Yeah.
that era. Um, I was going to ask, do you have you read it? Like, have you gotten into it at
Uh,
all? Like, it's probably been a
I
bit, but
have. I've not read Hair Heroes. I have like all the old Hair Story,
yes,
like
the
DVDs and all that
DVDs.
stuff. But yeah, I have not read Hair Heroes. But
Yeah,
I got to interview him, and he
it's
was
awesome.
really gracious and cool. This was a while ago, like over COVID.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, he's got stories. I'm impressed by the fact that you weren't kind of completely seduced by that and decided to go to New York to
Oh, I
be
know
part of
it.
Bumble, because I
I thought about it.
I what's that?
I said I definitely thought about it. I was like,
Yeah,
this is my jam. I could if I came to New York, I would solely go for Bumble for sure.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so seduced by like a team situation.
Yeah.
Like I
Me.
love being like part of a thing.
Hmm.
Um and by the time I was like considering the move to New York, I I think Bumble had already kind of run its course,
Yeah,
and so it was. I mean, it wasn't gone. Like they still had that thing that was kind of now like almost felt like it was corporately integrated now, but that soul of it didn't feel like it was still
I agree.
there.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. I'm looking at it from outsider perspective,
Yeah.
um, but it wasn't at that point enough to like get me to stay because I interviewed too and I was like feeling it out. Like actually I had already moved to LA and I was just working in New York a lot and I was like, man, should I do this? Like, is this a thing? And I didn't want to do it. But I think in the heyday of Bumble, like
Right.
that would have been so cool. And so many of the hairdressers I know here in LA and work with are out of that world. And I think that was just such an unbelievable moment
Yeah.
for like for hair and the salon world too. It was like a rare time where the fashion and salon world really kind of coexisted really
Still
seamlessly.
had its like, yeah. What
Yeah,
year was that around where when you were like, should I move here? But maybe it's just like ran its course.
man, I think it might have been. I was doing shows out there, and then I might have already been at Benjamin.
Oh, okay.
Um,
So
I think it
2014.
was like yeah, it was like early days at Benjamin, and I just like I was going to New York so much for work that I was like, is this what I should have done? Should I have come out here? And I was starting to get second thoughts about LA. But the weather, what are you
Telling
gonna
you.
do? I'm just
It's
kidding.
what though,
Yeah,
it's the weather, it's the energy here. I just feel like I'm all constantly around creative people. It's like nobody likes to just sit around and do nothing here. Not that we're workaholics or anything like that, but it's
right.
when you're in a creative industry, as we are, it's like it's hard to not share ideas and get shit done in a
Yeah,
fun and like creative way. And it's like, let's see what this creates. And
yeah,
boom, you know?
totally. I can't really speak in contrast for what it's like in New York because I didn't ever move there,
Yeah.
but I do think I don't know. There's something about the culture here. There's plenty of bad about it, but
Oh,
there's
for
a
sure.
lot of good where people are ready to get stuff done, and something about the kind of there's a chillness about LA where I feel like the rush is not there.
Yeah.
You could like yeah, you and I have been talking about doing
Yeah.
doing a thing, and I think that's a totally doable and feasible scenario. And I think once you find your people in this town that are on your wavelength,
Yeah.
it's great. You can really flourish, but
Yeah.
it can be a little more challenging to sift through all of what about LA like draws people, all kinds of people, and
Oh,
it can be
sure.
rough, So, but I always say I've met the best people I've ever known in LA, and I've also met the worst people I've ever known.
That's a really fun way to put it. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. It's like, oh,
yeah,
um,
it wasn't fun meeting them, but it was, it was worth it, I guess, in the
yeah.
end.
It's like they say, it's all about the experience.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, but I loved the whole Bumble vibe. Like, was
yeah,
kind of like really dedicated, and I used like the products I still use. I
yep,
remember Jeffrey. I can't really remember, but I remember Michael coming to the salon and meeting with Jeffrey and me actually meeting him. I was like, oh my gosh, and being that like that young and being like, oh my gosh.
yeah,
Um, but even like with R and Co now, like Howard is spearheading that. You know what I mean? I feel like
right,
it resembles Bumble a lot in the approach, but in
yeah,
his way,
yeah, for sure,
you know?
for sure.
Um,
I don't know that I've seen it like as much in the education, but
yeah,
maybe it is there. I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know. I seem to every salon I work at carries R and Co, but I don't see a whole lot of like, it's difficult. Like I'm not saying anybody should be able to do it easily, but like
yeah,
having that culture, you
yeah,
know, it's one thing to have a salon and the product line.
yeah.
It's another thing to just have a product line to kind of like try to push culture. And then again, if they're making money, maybe they're not as driven to push a culture.
Education.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's where I thought like I thought Benjamin would probably do that well because they had such a vibe and a culture at their salon that if they could really push into a product line and kind of pull all that
yeah,
together. But I don't know where they landed with their products. It's been
yeah.
a while.
Um,
Um,
I worked, that's where you and I met.
yeah.
After Privé, I went into Salon Benjamin. I just thought it was like the coolest spot. It had just opened up. Michael Galvin and Benjamin Mohapi
Hmm.
opened it. And I was like, they seem like really rad guys. And they
Yeah.
come from England. I love the whole, you know, British or English approach to hair as well.
Yep.
Classic.
Yep.
I was like, let's see what these, I was like, I'll just, meet them. And yeah, I think, I mean, at the time, there were only like three people on their roster, like working there, aside from Michael
Yeah.
and Ben and front of house. But yeah, I think I started there like 2011,
Yep.
like maybe
Good
2012.
times. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
but you kind of like when you were talking about the culture, like education culture and like just
Hmm.
being part of like a team that's just so like fiery with like being creative.
Yep.
I eat it up. I eat it up. And I'm like, so I loved like my experience working at Salon Benjamin was great. Like loved
Yep.
everybody. Everybody
Yep.
had their own, style and like just great people, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it was
And yours,
unbelievable.
I'm sure your story sounds the same. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was great. I think what happened. They opened up the like Arts District location, and I loved the idea of having Benjamin on the east side, and it just kind of changed, and it was it's a long story, but man, I mean, I could have stayed the OG Benjamin. I could have stayed there for the rest of my life for sure. I like I just loved every bit of it, but I was also, I think we talked about this before, like I was crazy intimidated by everything. Like it was almost so cool that like I was like, I don't know, I don't think I belong here. It took me
Yeah.
no, it took me so long to like calm down there,
Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
so I could just
To like
do
ease
hair. It
into
was
it. Yeah.
Man, it was another world.
Yeah. But all
But
exciting as well because you're like, holy shit, this is like amazing. I mean, I was like, holy shit, this is amazing to watch. Like
yeah,
other people do their thing, and it's like you can show us all one picture, and it's like, can you get to that? And every journey, every process would be
yep,
completely different. I
yep,
think that's the beauty
yep.
of as well.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. They were, man, when they were doing the art history classes there too. I mean, that stuff was all culture. It was so much culture that was like ready to be there. But I don't know how you keep it. I really don't. Like I don't
Yeah.
know if any salon can. it's like this inevitability
Yeah.
that it's like awesome for a little while and then it crumbles.
Yeah.
And then I'm not saying Benjamin has crumbled. I'm just
Right.
saying
Right. I
that
totally
like
get what you mean. Yeah.
I just don't know how you do. I would love to think that I could.
Yeah.
I wish I had any desire to own a salon aside from like selfish reasons,
No.
but like um I you know, you would think logically that it is possible to just have a great thing and keep it, but it seems like always, man, procedure and money, you know, gets in the way of culture, and then it just kind of tanks, and it's and then people go their own way, and it's just like
Yeah.
I've seen it happen so many times. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
And I mean, there's so many. Hold on. If I go and shut my window, can you cut this part out?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's fine. Yeah.
I totally forgot it was even open. Here we are. And back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's the whole like with the like the personality of the culture is, I mean, like new blood comes in, there's
Mhm.
another like energy like refreshing for lack of better words. So it's the kind of like, but how do you maintain as an owner to kind of to keep the OG team happy and doing what they beautifully do
Yeah.
for the freshmen? You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I agree with you. I would have been there still, like now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well,
it
there,
did.
you know, the stylists, the OG stylist needs are changing too. So it's hard to
Mhm.
keep them around. Like it
Yeah.
is just, I mean, I don't envy any salon owner. And like, I really, I just don't know how you do it. But I will say that Benjamin was as close to like a hair panacea that I've ever been. And I like,
Right.
I would be, sometimes I get tempted to like go ask for a job. Like,
I know
do I?
it's like, Clint, you're done with your day, right? And you're like, yeah, and you're there like 3 hours after you're done. You're just like sitting
Uh-huh.
there, I
Oh,
did the same. Yeah.
it's great.
Yeah,
Anyway,
it was
nothing
a
but
great
love
time.
there. That
Yeah.
yeah. So so you were, you know, it's weird. I was working with you. I didn't. My schedule was always minimal, you know, because I was traveling and stuff. But
Yeah.
you were doing at Benjamin. You were doing celebrity clients
Hmm.
already. Like you
Hmm.
were already going on set, doing like red
Yeah.
carpet and stuff like that. Yeah. So how did you kind of like dive into that? Because was it just my impression, or did you get busier with that after Benjamin, or was that
I feel no, like because now that I'm thinking like timeline wise, it's like once I was there was way more of a groove because I mean, I only landed in LA like 2010 or like end of 20 or 2009. So that's not really, that's like 2 or 3 years
Mhm.
before,
Right?
being at Benjamin. Um, but I will definitely, attribute the exposure being like
Mhm.
exposure of like being able to meet all these people and being connected with like, oh, so and so would love you to do her hair, or if Ben couldn't do
Yeah.
something he would totally send me, or I'd
Yep.
go with him sometimes on some
Mhm.
shoots and stuff. So I kind of forgot the question. Or that wasn't
Uh,
even a question.
no, it was basically like had you, because I was under the impression that after you left Benjamin, you kind of like really set into like the celebrity hair thing. But
Yes,
I was
like
asking
way way
like,
more. Yeah, that's okay.
wait, so it did accelerate after that?
Yes, for sure. And
Yeah.
it's almost like
Okay.
towards the end, like mid to end of being at Benjamin was kind of like, I mean, I even had to move, like my schedule had to be like lessened. I think I was only there like Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
And if I couldn't make some of those days, I'd be like, hey, I can't come in, So
Yeah.
he really worked with me because he's in the same world.
Yep.
He
Yeah.
was hardly
They
there
were
as well.
so great about that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. And then from that, I mean, leaving Benjamin for sure. It was kind of like this, like I was kind of like suspended in air a bit, but only working with celebrity and
Yeah.
sort of going into the salon when, to make a day, I would, yeah.
Did you feel like you needed more control of your time and schedule in order to dive into celebrity like full on? Was that part of like your logic?
In order to embrace just more of a celebrity side. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Like
think
was
so.
in a way was the salon world getting in the way of that? Not just Benjamin, but
Yeah.
getting in the, you know, the salon thing. Worst
Uh,
question ever.
No, that's actually, I've never thought of that too. But it had been an experience like towards the end of being at Benjamin because I'm like, I don't want the salon world to make a dent in the celebrity being on set, traveling wherever they need to be world. Because I adored both. I don't think I could ever just do one of them, you know?
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
one of, just choose one. Like I couldn't because the the amount of like exposure again and like the skill set when you're on set, when you're working on a show or a movie or they have a red carpet event, they're on a talk show, like whatever it is, there's a different approach to like, and it's a different process. The days run super different than it is just kind of coming into to the salon and doing like 8 clients a day. Um, it's different in a really awesome way,
Yeah.
like there's such a there's like a I guess it kind of transcends or it blends really well and it broadens and really strengthens your skill set a bit. And I
Sure.
found working like like I guess offsite, like not working in the salon as much.
Right.
When I did work in the salon, it was I sort of worked a lot faster.
Yep. That makes
Like
sense.
obviously major accurate, but like
Yeah.
faster and like the time managing of it all was like was like it got smoother for some reason just because I knew,
Mm,
when you're on set there's like got to be done or like we need this look now or and kind of understanding like the ins and outs to get to this look and you have like 11 minutes.
right.
You know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
transitioning that to like salon work application, it totally
Yeah.
helped. Yeah.
Yep. That makes sense. So in the case of like a celebrity situation, if somebody wanted to like, if one of your clients wanted to have you,
Mhm.
right? Like, you know, you travel with them, you're their hairdresser. Is that
Mhm.
something you would opt out on so that you could do what you do? Because there's
Like,
obviously some, huh?
it's like you mean would I like to just only choose like a one client or whatever and just stay with them?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, if some super celebrity wanted you to be their exclusive hairdresser, obviously that's got to come with sacrifices, but it also
of
comes with
course.
like really cool stuff,
Yeah,
good money,
yeah,
reliability.
yeah.
Is that something you would do?
I would. I would.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. If it's like a like exclusive, it would have to be like kind of like I feel like any client I have worked with and still do, like it's a great relationship and they're
Yep.
obviously like I respect their career as much as they do for me and they know like, hey, if I needed you to come to like Hawaii for 6 months, I probably would and they would be like, if you need to head back, like do what you need to do.
Right.
Obviously they'd have like, first dibs on me, but I feel like the people I work with are always very respectful of like, do what you got to do, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, but I would totally dig that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
Interesting. Have you done it in the past? Have you like committed like a solid chunk of time to a celebrity?
The longest was 6 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. Six
Okay.
weeks in Atlanta actually. For one client. When I would fly back, but it was just because I wasn't a huge fan of Atlanta, so I needed to come back to like breathe the LA smog again.
Yeah.
Or just to recenter in my own place again, like,
Right.
Um, but I'm not against it. I feel like, I mean, because with our job, I feel like I love the travel. I love
Yeah.
the traveling aspect as well, traveling and
Hmm.
the social thing. So yeah, but I
It
would,
seems like, what's that? Sorry.
I would do it. Yeah.
You. It seems like there are quite a few kind of editorial New York based and Europe based hairdressers that would like to start kind of moving into kind of celebrity. And it seems like this migration that seems to be like, New York to LA eventually, like you cut your teeth in New York. So, um, like, for someone who's got like kind of a fashion background, what do you think? How do you think the world's shift? I know you've not done a ton in that, but
Yeah.
enough. Like,
Yeah.
how do you think somebody might approach that if you were in their shoes? Coming to Los
If
Angeles
they
to work
like,
with
if
this
they
one.
were like in the like editorial world,
Yep, and
mostly
they
like
wanted to,
kind of break it into the salon world,
or
kind of.
the celebrity world
Oh,
in
celebrity
particular.
world. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Um,
I know like in editorial you can work with celebrities too.
yeah,
That's not
exactly.
unheard of. But
Yeah.
do you think that the culture is different enough that you have to change your mindset a little bit?
Between like New York mindset and LA mindset,
Yeah.
that's a
Or
good question.
fashion mindset and celebrity mindset.
Yeah. I think before, I would say like 10 years ago, or maybe within
Mhm.
like the last decade and prior, fashion was like top. Like if you were an
Uh-huh.
editorial stylist, you were like heavy on in the I mean, even before that, like let's just say the last 30 years, really. Um, and I feel like now in the last, I would say the last decade, more and more celebrities are like they're keen to fashion way more
Mhm.
now than it
Right.
was like a Guess ad. Yeah,
Yeah.
like in like 2000 or something like that. Um, and I also feel like with most fashion houses now are kind of like they're a little refreshed. I
Hmm.
don't know how to say it, but I feel like they wouldn't have I feel like they wouldn't have an issue because if they're already, and by the way, like most fashion houses are using solely like celebrities to market
Right.
their lines for, I mean, all their
Right.
collections. And so I feel like it's funny because if a client of mine had, just got a Gucci campaign, she would have me do it. You know what I mean? She
Yep.
wouldn't. I mean, she's fully, I don't own her. She can fully find somebody in LA that is super into editorial and find him or her to do it, and I'd be like, amazing. Like as long as you look amazing, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so I feel like that when it comes to the celebrity world, it's like if they love you and they're loyal, like they will get you on everything, you
Right.
know? So
Yep.
I don't know if
Yeah.
that really answered it, but I feel like they wouldn't have an issue, but because most celebrities are already
Yeah.
owning the like fashion house game, you know?
But do you think that it comes down to your your relationship with that client? Like
I think it definitely helps because
establishing, yeah.
yeah, because it's like if, and I've heard, clients say it time and time again, like I'm like at the end of like a show or like a rap, they're like, I'm so happy that you were here because you just like we all kept each other sane. It's like it's a
Mhm.
relationship. Not to mean like the
Right.
job was like a wreck, but it's it means more than just me doing your hair or like someone doing your makeup or your manicure on set. It's like um it's a relationship. And
Yeah.
you're also like they love how you do their hair and how you can interchange all that, so it
Yeah,
helps.
it seems like there's in the celebrity scene, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's much more room for the relationship with the client matters because it's not like in fashion you're working with the agency or the magazine, the publication or whatever is the client. So your relationship with the model only counts for so much, right? You make her feel comfortable, do her hair, all that. That can you can hit it off. That's amazing.
Yeah.
But really, it seems like it's about really being able to formulate like a good relationship with that celebrity because they can take you on
Yeah.
for all their events. They can
Yeah.
they can choose you for anything they're doing.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
And
would you
it
agree with that?
matters. I mean, because they're traveling, they're like they're either with their spouse or not. So it's like to have, somebody like in our world, like the makeup artist or the hair artist is kind of like if we all like dig each other, it makes the time so much better. And it's
Sure.
like I know what I'm there to do. I'm there to do her hair or his hair. So
Hmm.
it's like that's in the bag. That's fine. But it's like
Right.
what's the interaction going to be like if I was, a pain in the butt,
Hmm.
or if the client was like I probably wouldn't keep working with them just because for peace of mind, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
Depends on how much they were paying. I'm kidding.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, but I haven't really had really bad experiences with celebrity clients. Like it's either like I've worked with them once, they might have been like a terror, but like I wasn't their like number one anyway.
Right. Right.
Like I
Right.
was kind of like swapped out for a bit for an event they couldn't do. Um, but yeah, but I think, but even still, even like in the salon, like with your salon clients, there's some sort of relationship as well.
Yeah.
It's just a
Absolutely.
different scope. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever had to cut anybody loose?
Um, no. I remember doing one actress and I was just like, "Oh my goodness, you are a little brat."
Mhm.
And I can tell you after the recording, uh,
Yeah, sure.
who it was, but yeah, I was filling in for her number one, and yeah, like everything I did was fine. Like it was already like planned ahead. Like I saw the look. Hey, I'm thinking
Yeah,
about these looks. That part was
right.
just like my job was done, but
Uh-huh.
the interaction and just how she might have not been feeling well that day. I totally get that. But
Yeah.
it was just like I'm like never again. Yeah,
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 it seems like when you are not their number one, there's kind of nothing you can
maybe.
do to
Yeah,
like, yeah, it's kind
yeah,
of, I mean, obviously it depends on the person.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
mean, I know you well enough to know like I can't really imagine you not getting along with anyone.
I
Like
know.
even if they weren't your people,
Right,
like
right.
yeah. So I think you have the personality to kind of put everybody at ease
Yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah.
So like
So that
I feel like I have kind of like a welcoming kind of approach. It's like, hey, what's up? Like I'm here, you're here. Let's,
Mhm.
I'm here to make you feel comfortable and whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, I mean, agree.
Yeah, cool. I'm
I'm
glad.
like,
Do you are you with an agency right now? I should know this.
no, and I mean, currently, no, no,
Oh,
nope.
interesting.
I have
Is
been with
that
people before, but and I liked it because I like somebody just kind of negotiating all the big stuff for me.
yeah,
If I just want to be
right.
like one person removed from it, like that's kind of
Yeah.
why. Um, but I sort of I'm kind of like a fun target because I come with work. I'm not
Oh,
out
oh,
of school being like, "Hey, can
right.
you feed me?" You know what I mean?
Sure.
So that's really good leverage. I mean,
Mhm.
hey, do you want me? I have work kind of thing. Um,
Right.
I speak to people all the time that are repped, and they're like, they love it, and they also don't care either. Like, I
Mhm.
feel like 20 years ago was the peak for like, not peak, but like the like prime time for being repped and being with a certain agency, and you know, um, it's another thing. It's like the relationship with your agent.
Yeah.
It's like
Well, it's
your
also
agent.
like another person to share your money with. So
Yeah.
if you
Yep.
like, it
Yeah.
seems
Good
yeah,
point.
I mean
Exactly. Top. You're taking 20%. Okay, why? Like
why?
I brought it to you.
Yeah.
You know what, for a reason, because what if it's like this huge job? We need to know
Mhm.
like how much it's going to be advertised in other countries or just the US. Like there's so many layers to it that I mean, being with a couple before that I've learned like, oh, I thought it was just me going doing my thing and then like getting paid for it, leaving. And then they're like, no, this is like a print ad that's going to be like splashed in like Korea and Portugal and Spain and like I'm like, oh, and so they're like, there needs to be like proper like compensation for this. And I was like, oh,
Right.
that's what being an agent's about. Yeah.
Right. Right.
A
Interesting.
lot of other things. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that the majority of like your like peers in the industry are reps or not?
I think a good count are
Okay.
like 70 are repped, like
Okay. Yeah.
70% repped, 30 not. And it's funny because I feel like the ones that are not, I always think that they are.
Oh, okay.
They're just
Interesting.
they're just yeah, they're like killing it and they're like really 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 talented. Or
Right.
they've just signed like a brand partnership or something like that. And I'm like, "Oh, great." And then I'm like, "Oh yeah, you're not even with an agency." So, I find those to be way more fascinating than like being repped, you know?
Yeah. Sure.
Equally
So,
like a good approach to your career because being with the agency there's so much exposure. Like
sure.
you're getting work and like you're working for Nike and like, all of these like brand campaigns. So it's great. But
Do you
um
think in any way that you are working successfully off the exposure you got from the agencies that you did work with, or not really? Like, what percentage? No.
no, not really.
Yeah.
No. I think it comes to I think it has a lot to do with like the word of mouth and like you're already present clientele
Got it.
as well, you know.
Yeah. Sure.
There were a few jobs that I met like, new celebrities and stuff like that, but it was never something that kind of like took off like because of the agency. It was actually more like salon based that,
Yeah.
you
Man,
know,
well, I mean, that's really interesting. That's good information
yeah,
because for people who are coming out here,
right.
there are there are multiple ways to approach it.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it one way. Nothing wrong with having an agency.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's very possible that you've got an agency that works in both places or whatever.
Yeah.
But, you know, how much do you need it? Or are you you know, since you pivoted off of the salon so well,
Yeah.
these people might come over and not want to do salon, you know, so they're going to
Exactly.
not have that side
Yeah.
of exposure. It's
Yeah.
interesting.
But I mean, it's kind of even like I'll have like a taste of like maybe I should reach out to so and so agency, see how they're doing, like see if they're looking to like rep any like new people for their roster, and I'll reach out because I have a lot of friends that are in that game. Like they own production companies, so they're always calling agencies like, "Hey, we need hair for whatever."
Right.
So they tell me who's kind of like really on the pulse, like the top
Sure.
5, and then I'll just reach out, but. It's like when I reach out, I kind of feel like it's like something I feel like I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
Well, I don't
Okay.
really feel it in here. Like,
Right.
can't wait to be repped. Like, I still think it's amazing. And if it's like something that is calling you, like really, really do your best and try to like be the squeaky wheel for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Cool. Yeah.
I mean,
Okay. That's good.
huh?
What?
I was gonna say ideally, like I know that we mentioned this before, but like ideally, I would like to just have like my own space. I've attempted it. Like this was 5 years back, but then decided to be like the hell with it because the city got involved and I had to do so much more to the space. I had already signed the lease, everything, and it was just like it was a big learning experience, and it had happened like a year before COVID hit.
Right.
But just to have my own space, not be a like salon owner and babysit adults, but just have a space where people can come in, rent, and
Yeah.
do their magic, and then go home. Yeah.
Yep. That's the only way.
It is.
That's
It
the
really
only
is.
way.
It's like I don't care if I'm missing out on like 40 grand a month. I mean,
Right.
it hurts a little bit, but the like sanity that it keeps for me is like because I'm in and out too, so I don't have to always be there.
Yeah.
If you were a
Yeah.
salon owner, you'd have to kind of
Right.
be physical. Yeah. Physically there.
There's a way. There's a way to do it.
Yeah.
There's a way. Man. Okay. Cool. So, I do want to save some for like a next time.
Mhm.
So, I
Part
think
2.
we're you want part 2? You're
Part 2.
3.
Yeah.
Secretly part 3.
Right. We're right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm in.
Well, thanks for taking the time.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, let everybody know like your social media, like how they can like follow you and stuff.
Yeah. My website is jenniferloura.com. It is Jennifer, last name is spelled Loura.com. And my Instagram handle is Jen Loura Hair.
Yeah. And it's great. She's amazing hairdresser. And
Thanks, darling.
we're hoping we're gonna like work together on some things soon.
Yeah.
Too. So yeah. All right. Well, thank
Coming
you.
soon.
Thanks for doing this. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I'll see you soon.
Okay.
All right. Bye, Jen.
Bye.